piecewise function with this guided worksheet? Okay, first of all, piecewise functions are functions where you've got two functions together. Sometimes they overlap. It's piecewise because it's pieces of it. Okay? So we're looking at this piecewise function tells us that it is 3x minus 5 as long as x is greater than 4. And it is x squared as long as x is less than or equal to 4. Okay? As long as it's less than or equal to 4. So it wants us to evaluate each of these points according to this. So we have to look, which one does 7 go into? Is 7 greater than 4 or less than or equal to 4? Greater than. So we're going to go 3 times 7 minus 5. 3 times 7 is 21. 21 take away 5 is 16. That's what I get, 16. Does that make sense?
That's all you do?
That's all we're doing for this. When we get to the graphing, it'll be a little more complicated, but this should be the easier part. Okay? All right. So it says f of 4. So what does that go in, the top one or the bottom one?
Bottom.
Bottom one, because that has that equal to, right? So we're going to go 4 squared. What's 4 squared? 4 times 4 is 16. Okay? I get that so many mistakes with squareds and verse.
Wait, is all these 16?
No. Okay. F is negative 3. Does that go in the top one or the bottom one? Bottom. So we're going to go negative 3 squared. When you put something that's a negative into your calculator, make sure you put the parentheses around it or it'll give you a negative answer. And we know that a negative times a negative is a what? Positive. So what is negative 3 squared?
Negative 9.
Not negative 9, but 9. Negative times negative is a positive. Okay. All right. So I want you to do some of this on your own, but let's talk about each one of these functions first. This says negative 2 times the absolute value of x plus 1. What does absolute value mean? Anybody remember?
Absolute value is like, it'd be a negative, like negative 5, the absolute value that would be 5.
Correct, Jordan. Absolute value means whatever the answer is, we change it to positive. Okay? So if we have, like a negative 5 that went in there, negative 5 plus 1 is negative 4. But the absolute value of that is 4, and then we times it by this negative 2 on the outside. Okay? And this is for any time x is less than or equal to 1. If x is between 1 and 3, if it's bigger than 1 but less than 3, the answer is going to be 3. Okay? But if it is greater than or equal to 3, we use 6 minus 2x. Okay? So what this means is, what's bigger than 1? Like 1.1, 2, okay? Any of those bigger than 1 but less than 3. And I want you to solve all 3 of those. I'm going to give you just a minute. Try all 3. You got a calculator in front of you? First, you got to figure out is which one does 10 go to. Then plug it in for x. Try it out, Jordan. Is 10 less than 1? Is it between 1 and 3? Or is it greater than 3? You're going to have to do this for your homework, so I strongly suggest trying it right now.
Well, 5 is around 3, and I'll put the money on giving.
You could buy one today if you go to your car.
That's too much.
Just say.
Let me sit down. You see what you done, right? I've done it.
Oh my God, you just told me.
Wait, is it this one?
Dude, I don't.
All right, guys. So, when we plug in, let's go over this. We ready? Shh. Because then we got to do some major graphing. All right. When we plug in 10, we go to the bottom one, so we go 6 minus 2 times 10. 2 times 10 is 20, so 6 minus 20 gives us negative 14. F is 2. 2 is between 1 and 3, so my answer is just 3. I didn't have to do any math. Didn't have to do any addition, subtraction, nothing. No equations. F is 0. 0 is less than or equal to 1, correct? So we're going to go negative 2, absolute value of 0 plus 1, absolute value. So we get negative 2. 0 plus 1 is 1. What's the absolute value of 1? So negative 2 times 1 is just negative 2. Questions about that? We did a lot of stuff there. Had to figure out where they went. We had to talk about absolute value. So far, so good? Hey, shh. Be nice to each other. Stay off your phones. Quiet time. Okay. Once I took it out of the absolute value, yeah. Shh. Harold asked a really good question. He said how it just turned into parentheses, and I said, yeah, when I took it out of the absolute value, I just turned it into parentheses knowing that I didn't have to worry about that anymore, but that I still had to multiply. Okay, graphing is where it gets a little bit hard. I'm going to do a couple of these graphing ones before I let you guys try it on your own. Okay, so let's look at number 7. Number 7 is probably the easiest, but it can be a little confusing. The first thing I highly recommend doing is outlining where the x and y axis is. So right here, I'm outlining that this is the y-axis. Right here, I'm outlining that this is the x-axis. Shh. Robert, get the notes, sweetheart. They're right here. Okay. So we've got the x and y. Now it says, when x is less than 0, it's negative 2. When x is greater than or equal to 0, it is 3. Okay? This is a good part of math to use your pencil because sometimes it's easier to erase stuff. So first of all, I'm going to go to where x is 0. X is less than 0. So I'm going to go x. I'm going to go less than 0 is negative 2. So we go down 1, 2. And it's got an open circle. And it goes in that direction. Okay? It should be a dotted line. I'm going to erase it so you can see that it's a dotted line. Okay, and it's an open circle because it's not equal to. When it's not equal to, it's open, dotted line. Okay, now we're going to talk about when x is greater than 0, it's at 3. So I'm going to go to 0, I'm going to go up 1, 2, 3. I've got a closed circle. and I've got a solid line. Okay? This is where we really show you about piecewise because it's in pieces. Okay? We've got down here less than 0, I get -2. 0 or greater, I get 3. Okay? Yes. Okay. All right. Let's look at number 8. Again, I'm going to outline right here my X and Y axes so I can see it better, because I don't think this copy showed up very well for that. Okay. Now I'm looking at, this is a little more complicated because I've got equations here instead of just numbers. When X is less than 2, it's -2. It's negative X plus 2. So first let's graph negative X plus 2. Remember, it's Y equals MX plus B, right? So my B is 2. My M is -1/1. So first I'm going to put my first dot on 2. 1, 2. And then I'm going to go down 1/1, down 1/1, right? Or up 1/1, up 1/1. Okay? Now, but it says when X is less than 2, which means I need to erase everything that's greater than 2. So I'm going to go where X is 2. I'm not going to use any of these, and I'm going to change this to an open circle. And I'm going to put an arrow at the end. Okay? So, it said when X is less than 2, so everything greater than 2, I had to erase. Okay, my next one, right here, X minus 2, so that's my B is -2, my M is 1. So I'm going to go down to -2, 1, 2, and I'm going to go up 1/1, up 1/1, up 1/1, up 1/1. Okay? But it says when X is greater than or equal to 2. So I'm going to make sure I have that filled in circle. I have a straight line, filled in line, but I'm going to erase everything that's less than 2. Questions about that? So you guys are totally ready to do this all on your own, right? Would you like me to do some more? Yeah. Let's turn it over. Let's turn it over. Okay. I'm going to skip number 9 because that's an easier one, and I want you guys to try that on your own. And I am going to do number 10. Okay, I'm going to do number 10. Okay. So, I've got 3 things I've got to graph on here. You guys with me? Okay. So, when X is less than -2, it's at 4. So I'm going to go to X. I'm going to go over 1, 2, and then I'm going to go up 1, 2, 3, 4. Am I going to have a filled in circle or an open circle? Filled in. And X is less than 2. Which way? To the left or to the right? Left. Good. Okay. Now, when X is greater than 2, so I'm going to go over to 2. When X is greater than 2, it's at 4. Am I going to have a filled in circle or an open circle? I'm doing the bottom one. Filled in or open? Filled. And it's 4, so I'm going to point my arrow to the right or to the left. X is greater than or equal to 2. To the right, because it's bigger than. Okay, so I did the easy part. Now the hard part is x squared between -2 and 2. So I'm going to do a couple of things. I'm going to plug in -2. -2 squared is 4, right? What's 1 squared? -1 squared? -1 times -1 is a positive 1. 0 squared is just 1 squared is 2 squared is 4, right? So we end up with this right in the middle. Okay? And this should be dotted. So it should be like this. Okay, let's do number 11, and then I'm going to have you guys do 9 and 12 on your own. Okay? Number 11. Okay, here we've got number 11. The top says when x is less than or equal to -3, we have 3x plus 12. So I like to go ahead and just draw the line and then erase the part that I don't need. Does that make sense what I'm doing? Yeah. Okay, so I'm going to do this. I'm going to totally mess with your brains. I'm going to make this go up by 2's. So we've got to remember that this right here is 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16. And I put it off to the side just so we can graph in the middle and you guys can see it. Okay? So it's going up by 2's. So I'm going to put a dot at 12. And then I'm going to go up 3. But remember, it's by 2's. So I'm going to go up 2 and 1 more and over 1. Up 3 over 1. And I'm going to go down 3 over 1. Down 3 over 1. Down 3 over 1. Down 3 over 1. Okay? Now, it says when x is less than or equal to 3. So I'm going to keep going. It's best to go ahead and do it throughout the, the whole graph that you got. Okay? It's when x is less than or equal to 3. So I'm going to go over to -3. Okay? And I'm going to erase everything above it. We can keep that filled in circle because it has the equal to. And then I'm going to make it a straight line. Okay? Now I'm going to skip the middle one because I think that's harder. And I'm going to go to this last one here. Okay? Again, I'm going to put a dot at 12. And now it says down 3. So I'm going to go down 3 over 1. Down 3 over 1. Remember, you can't go down 3 because they're by 2's. Down 3 over 1. Down 3 over 1. Am I messing you guys up? Am I going too fast or are you confused? Okay, so remember they're counting by 2's. So when I go down, I go down 2 and then 1 more and over 1. Yep, I started at 12. Down 3 over 1. Down 3 over 1. Down 3 over 1. This one's weird because it's counting, like each of these little things are by 2's. Down 3 over 1. Okay? So, but it is only true between when x is greater than 3. So I have to count over 1, 2, 3, and I have to erase the other stuff. It is a closed circle, and it is a straight line. Okay. Between -3 and 3, it's the absolute value of x. Okay? What's the absolute value of -3? 3. So I've got to go up 3. What's the absolute value of -2? 2. So I went up 2. Absolute value of -1 is 1. Absolute value of 0 is 0. 1 is 1. 2 is 2. And we've got 3. So that is my graph. Okay. I'm going to skip to 13 and 14, and then I'm going to have you guys come back to 9 and 12. Which of the piecewise functions is continuous? Continuous means there's no break in the graph. So like 10 and 11, they're continuous. There's no break. Where if we flip it over, 7, there's a break. 8, it's continuous. Okay? So when are they discontinuous? 7 is discontinuous. See how there's a break in the graph? You can't just hold your finger on 1. It breaks. Okay. So what I'm going to have you guys do is you're going to do 9 and 10 on your own. Yep, I can move it so you guys can see this last problem. And the bottom here. I'm going to zoom out just a little bit. You guys got to do 9 and 12 on your own. Okay, you're going to do 9 and 12 on your own. When you're finished with 9 and 10, you're going to bring it over here. And that's when you're going to pick up your homework. Okay? But I want to see how you're doing on 9 and 12. Okay? So I want you to do 9 and 12 on your own. And when you're done, bring it over here. So that means we're starting at 12. Because everything is always 3 over 1. This is up 3, right up. Okay? And this is -3, down 3. If they were both negative, the whole thing would be first 3 over 1 and down and left. Well, we can just switch that whole thing to 3 over 1. So, so if we're doing this one, 12, we're going down 3 over 1, down 3 over 1. Down, that's 2, 3, Good? That makes sense? Okay. And then remember we're erasing it when greater than or equal to 3, so we have to go over 1, 2, 3.
Oh my God.
Oh.
Just told them plus and this. Bro, it's gonna take 14,000 years. No. What's that? 11? It says September 16th through 18th. That's not what it is.
Okay? Now this absolute value is whatever I stick in there. So
Oh! No, you don't. Oh my God, what the fuck?
between Which one's the blank? 9 and 12. 9 and 12. My best.
Go back home and play 2K.
1 second, guys.
That's all I want to do.